Hi guys, how are you all doing? I hope all of you are doing well and are safe with your family. This is the all new S-Cross. Now what's so new about it? You of course get the same projector lamps which you got in the earlier version of the car. You get this huge and chunky grille on the front which you got on the earlier version. The biggest changes have been reserved for under the hood. This car now, just like all other Marutis, is a petrol only car. The diesel DDiS motor is out and in comes a new 1.5 K series engine which makes 104 bhp, and today we'll tell you how it is to drive and how it is much more different than the earlier version of the car. Now officially, this car takes on the likes of the Ford EcoSport, it takes on the likes of the Maruti Suzuki Vitara Brezza, it also takes on the likes of the Venue as well as the Nexon and XUV300. But what makes it different, what makes it better than those cars, we'll try and figure out this answer by the end of the video review. So stay tuned for the next 9 or 10 minutes and we'll get to the bottom of the all new S-Cross. Let's get started. To buy any spare part for your vehicle, you should check out budmo.com. You can also download the app. It's available for both Android as well as iOS devices. And the best point about Budmo is the fact that they offer you the most extensive spare parts catalog across all segments of cars. And another good point is that they offer you the same spare part from a host of different manufacturers, different component makers, which means that you get various pricings and price points, which means the flexibility in terms of pricing is greatly enhanced and you can choose the spare part according to your budget. Now if you don't like the spare part, you can also send it back within 10 days, and of course Budmo will return all your money to you if the part is returned within the 10-day limit. Now Budmo are the online experts when it comes to spare parts, and they offer you doorstep delivery without any issues whatsoever. They offer you genuine spare parts and the best pricing as well. So check out the website today and download their app as well. It's a double thumbs up from my side to budmo.com. Well, so welcome to the cabin of the new S-Cross, and what's so new about it? Well, nothing really. The only change is that Maruti has removed the USB from inside here, which was hidden, and placed it right over here below the air conditioning controls. So that's the big change. Apart from that, it's a great car for sheer quality levels. It's the best car in the Maruti range for sheer quality. All the switches here for the AC controls are nice and softly damped. You also get good controls on the steering wheel, which are very soft to use. So the quality is by far the best on any Maruti Suzuki product. And what's also good is the seat comfort. The seat comfort is very good. Support for your lower back is good. Support for your under thighs is good. And Maruti makes the best seats in the business. And it's no different on the new S-Cross. In terms of overall equipment, you get automatic headlamps, you get cruise control, you get multiple airbags, automatic air conditioning, Apple's CarPlay, Android Auto, and the touchscreen also is nice and easy to operate. It's a nice and colorful touchscreen. It also is very bright, so even on the hottest of hot days, it will not have any issues in terms of resolution. But I have to mention the fact that the design of this dashboard now is looking old, and Maruti should have spruced it up with some changes on the center console. It looks a little bit old and also feels dated compared to the competition. It doesn't have that same excitement or that same sporty vibe that some of its rivals now have to offer. So I have to mention that, because if I don't mention any negatives, you will end up saying that I have been paid by Maruti to give only good marks to the S-Cross. Now with that out of the way, let's jump in the back seat and see how good that really is. So I'm in the back seat of the Maruti Suzuki S-Cross now, and this car surprisingly offers you good amounts of space on the inside, especially in the back seat. Knee room, as you can see, is more than sufficient, and my height for reference is 5'10", and I always adjust the front seat for my height and driving position. So if you're 5'10", 5'11", even if you're 6, you should be quite okay in these seats, and the headroom also is quite good. Now the seats themselves are good in terms of comfort, and the support for your lower back is good, support for your under thighs is very good, and you get a nice 90-degree angle for your hip as well as your knee, so you really sit comfortably on top of these seats. If you're sitting on this car for a long distance highway trip, you'll be happy in this car because you will be comfortable, and you can just hold this handle here and sit like the boss. The good point is that the windows go all the way down. They're large windows, so you never feel claustrophobic, even though the cabin is all dark and can get a bit dingy. But because of the windows, you'll never feel claustrophobic, and you also get a quarter glass window at the back, which makes the cabin feel nice and bright. Overall, an impressive place to be in. The only negative is that you still don't get any AC vents at the back, which is a bit of a miss, especially considering that most of the other cars in this segment offer one. So that's something that maybe Maruti should think about. And also this box is slightly protruding on the outside, so if you're moving around like this, then you might end up hurting your knee inside the S-Cross. That's a bit of a joke, but it is something which is there, so I thought I should mention it. Now we will not talk about the boot today. If you want to check out the boot and you want to check out the diesel version of the car, you want to buy a second-hand version, do check out my review. I'll put the link in the description box below. Well, so here I am driving the S-Cross now. Now remember, this car comes with a 1.5 petrol engine, and we've already seen this engine on the Ciaz, on the new Vitara Brezza, as well as on the XL6. So in terms of its reliability, its refinement, as well as fuel efficiency, those things are already tried and tested. You can check out those things with anyone who owns those cars, and you'll be quite impressed with the way this engine performs. Now on the S-Cross, I have good news for you, and that good news is that the K-Series engine really does make a big difference to this car's overall refinement levels. The 1.3 engine was starting to show its age. The 1.3 diesel was starting to feel a bit old. It was starting to become a little unrefined, a little noisy, a little buzzy, and this one really does take the game further away from its rivals in the petrol department, because it's a very quiet motor, very refined motor, and it's an engine which you will truly enjoy driving, especially in the city, because there's no buzziness about this engine. Yes, when you rev it hard, of course there's a bit of a buzz, but it's a very sporty note, and that's something which keen drivers will truly appreciate. What keen drivers will also appreciate, of course, is the fact that the steering wheel on this car is really sublime and offers you a very good mixture in terms of the weight as well as good feedback. Now the weight distribution on this steering wheel is absolutely perfect. It's neither too heavy that you start feeling tired after a long day behind the wheel, and neither is it so soft that you start feeling nervous when you take this car out on the highway. So in terms of weight distribution, it is perfect. It's also very good in terms of the overall feel and feedback. It's a very accurate steering wheel. It's a very good steering wheel in terms of accuracy, in terms of the overall responsiveness, and I reckon that this is one of the better steering wheels on any Maruti Suzuki car. If you've driven the Maruti Suzuki Swift, then you will really appreciate this car, because it has that same kind of sporty character to it. The grip from the tires is good, the steering wheel feedback is good, the chassis is very dynamic, and if you take it up the hills and go around those bends at faster speeds, then you'll really be rewarded. You'll have a smile on your face and you'll be beaming all day long. So it's a good car for enthusiastic drivers as well, and the ride comfort also is excellent. It offers you very good ride composure, and it does soak in the bumps very well. The tires, as I said, are nice and chunky as well. They offer you loads of grip, so that also aids the overall suspension setup, and it's just a car which will put a smile on your face all day long. When you take it out on the highway, it offers you very good levels of comfort. Even in the city, it really does take the sting out of the worst of worst road conditions. So that's something which buyers will truly appreciate. Now this car comes, remember, with manual as well as an automatic, and the manual version is nice and slick to operate. We've driven it very briefly, and it's a very slick and accurate gearbox, just like most Maruti Suzuki cars. And today we are driving the automatic for the longer time, so we'll talk about the automatic. Now this is a 4-speed 80 unit. It's a torque converter unit, which is quite good in that sense, because it's not an AMT, it's not an automated manual. And in AMT gearboxes, when the gears shift, there are a lot of jhatkas like this. You lurch forward and backwards if you want quick acceleration, but that's not the case in a torque converter. So that's something good. But on the downside, it's only a 4-speed 80. It's not a 5-speed or a 6-speed unit, which is something that buyers who drive on the highways a lot will not really appreciate. But the gear ratios have been spaced out nicely. So on the highway also, if you're doing top speed in about, let's say, 80 or 90 kph, you're in top gear, then the engine is spinning at around 22 2300 rpm. Because the engine is so refined, it doesn't really affect your peace inside the cabin. But yes, a 5-speed unit or a 6-speed unit would have been truly appreciable, and I hope that Maruti launches a gearbox with 5-speed automatic soon. But even this one is quite okay. If you drive a lot in the city, then this is a good gearbox for you, because the gear shifts are smooth, they're efficient. The time when you hit that accelerator pedal and when the gears actually shift, the gap is absolutely non-existent. It's a very quick shifting gearbox, and it's a very slick unit as well. You won't be able to tell when the gears are shifting. Yes, when you of course press the right pedal hard, it does take a brief second, and then the gears change, but that's quite okay, because that's what happens in most other rivals as well. So overall, I'm pretty impressed with the ride, the handling, the overall engine refinement, as well as the convenience of this automatic gearbox. And remember, this is the smart hybrid version of the car, which means that fuel efficiency also is quite good, and it's going to be better than its rivals. And the smart hybrid version basically means that when of course you stop at a signal and you press the brake pedal, the engine automatically shuts off if you stop there for about 5 or 10 seconds. And of course, when you remove your leg from the brake pedal, the engine starts again. So that also helps fuel efficiency by quite a fair bit. Overall, what is the scoring that I like to give the Maruti Suzuki S-Cross Petrol? Well, I reckon in the driving department it deserves a strong score of 89 out of 100. and it's one of the better cars out there for keener drivers. It's one of the better cars out there for people who prefer comfort, and of course the automatic adds the element of a hassle-free engine and gearbox as well. Overall, very impressed, and double thumbs up from my side. Well, so overall the S-Cross might not be the most exciting car to look at in terms of the overall outside design, but it more than makes up for this with its other qualities. Now, the biggest quality that this car has, that offers you one of the best engines in terms of refinement as well as responsiveness, and it also offers you one of the best ride comforts in this segment. That's not all, it also offers you good space on the inside, and I reckon that this is one of the best, if not the best, Maruti Suzuki car in terms of the build quality and the plastics as well. The S logo up ahead means that its resale values will be very strong, and it also means that after sales and servicing will be second to none in the compact SUV space as well as in the compact crossover space. So what I'm essentially trying to say is that if you're in the market for a compact crossover or a compact SUV, then you'll be really silly to not consider the Maruti Suzuki S-Cross. It definitely deserves a mention in your shortlist, and I recommend you take a test drive of this car and definitely check it out at an XL dealership near you. It's bye for now, and thanks for watching.